Yo, I probably should have recorded this a while ago, but felt like showing off my Dark World brew. It's somewhat budgeted. It's certainly upgraded over the structure deck, but I acquired the pieces for cheap here and there along the way. It's 41 cards. I'll talk about what I should probably take out and try to cram back in as I get into it here. So I'll start with the usual most important part of Danger Dark World. Need 3 Genta and 3 Gates. There we go, camera's finally focusing. You can only summon Genta once per turn, but activating them from your hand, ain't no limit on that. So you can return them to your hand with the big Dark World guys and search more copies of Gates, which is a soft once per turn. So if you refresh it, you can just keep going. And that's what this deck is all about. So in order to keep that going, we've got 3 Snow and 1 Dark Corridor. These were the search cards. Dark Corridor is once per turn. You can only activate 1 per turn, and you can dig through your deck pretty hard with all the copies of the Dangers and Gates to just draw random cards. So having more than 1 could be a brick. And usually what you're searching with Snow is Dark World Accession. Moving on though, we got 3 Rainbow and 2 Grapha. These are the big trampoline lads. Should maybe move them down here to be better focus. Yeah, you can return your Dark World guys to the field to summon these, and these will keep coming out of your graveyard. You can summon, bounce your Dark World for Rainbow, and then bounce Rainbow for Grapha, and just pump your hand size back up when you go to attempt Dangers. Still, it can be a little tricky to get both of these out for a rank 8. I think 3 Rainbow is correct because you want to discard it. It gets you more pluses. You do want to get to Grapha, but Grapha doesn't really get you more resources. In fact, Grapha's effect when you discard him is mandatory. So be careful if you give your opponent a monster and are planning to do some tricky plays with it. I'll talk about that as I get into the extra deck. Yeah, I think 2 is correct though. You can probably search your way to 1 through Rainbow. You can overlay with 1 and then leave the other in your hand or graveyard as fusion material. So I think 2 is the way to go for that. I got 1 Sylva and 1 Lucian. These are your high-level Dark Worlds that you would search with Rainbow. You don't really need more than 1, I've found. Because, again, they don't really start your plays, but you just summon 1 and then bounce them for the level 8s over and over. And they have very potent effects if they're discarded by the opponent's card effect, usually by something you give them. Sylva is the notorious one they had to ban on Master Duel that attacks your opponent's hand. And Lucian lets you summon a Fiend to either player's field, and I'll show off the spicy option I have for that at the end of the main deck here. We got 2 Ceruli, also used for hand attack, but also for getting the extra potent discarded by opponent's card effects of the Dark World monsters. So you want to find this guy, but he, again, probably won't help you acquire resources. You still have to be able to discard him to get anything started. So 3 would be way too greedy. 2 I think is good. You can summon 1 to your opponent's side, and you can maybe summon 1 to your side to hit the last card out of your opponent's hand. The last Dark World card is Accession. This is your quick play fusion spell. It can only be used during the main phase, but that should be good enough. This can be more interaction by summoning Fusion Grapha during the opponent's turn by discarding Grapha to destroy one of their cards, or maybe you want them up right away for the effect substitution. Also, do remember the graveyard effect. It can be very helpful while you're setting up. Onto the dangers here. The usual 3 Mothman. Get Atlas on the phone. We got Rescue Rabbit plushies. Where's our Mothman plushie? Mothman, the best one. He's level 4, so you can make Dugari's the Timeless with him. Also has good effect that still lets you draw and discard if you whiff. We got 3 Nessie. I can't remember where I got the secret rares, but I'm sure I got a good deal for them. The common one is from the Crimson King structure deck, so that gives me my 3rd one. Nessie being level 7 is not relevant at all, but if you discard Nessie, then you can search a Danger, which really helps keep the velocity going when you're doing these silly discard combos. We got 5 more Dangers that are 1-ofs each. We got the level 3s, Tsuchinoko and Jackalope. I did have a Jackalope from Crimson King, but got a rarity upgrade for cheap. You gotta play 1 Chupacabra because it's the only Fiend, so you can banish it from your graveyard with Gates. You can summon it with Muckraker, I guess. Yeah, just Chupacabra being a fiend is surprisingly relevant, and one each of the level 8s, Thunderbird and Bigfoot. You don't know what the opponent could have when you're going first, so just being able to pop either kind, Thunderbird pops face downs and Bigfoot pops face ups. Also has very nice 3000 attack. These are maybe not the greatest if you're going first. Just try to activate them early when your hand is nice and big. That's it for the dangers. Next we'll unveil the card everyone is expecting to see in Dark World. Card Destruction. This might be an out if the opponent plays Mulcharmy Perulia, where if they can draw half their deck, you can just activate Card Destruction and suddenly you win the duel. Otherwise, it's big value. Maybe you can reset it with Nightmare Griffin and get even more value on turn 3. On to some other engine components and such. We got 1 Rhoda for 3 Gen and a Ken. Yeah, Gen is obviously better to summon Ken. You can summon Ken from your hand if you draw the Ken. You could play 2 Ken, because I mean, this deck doesn't really have a dedicated normal summon, so like, normal summoning Ken to give them Gen and rip their hand, it's not the worst. It still gives them a monster so you can do Geonator Transverser shenanigans. Okay, on to some other spicy techs. 1 Salamander Catalyzer. It helps your grind game, because when your fiends do battle, you can add this from grave to hand. And you can just reveal this and 1 other in your hand to special summon 1 and discard the other via card effect. Both of its effects are hard once per turn, so again, don't play more than 1, but it's very versatile. It also being level 4 means it's good for making Dugaris. Got 1 Diabolica, the Draconic General. If you discard it, you can target another fiend in grave and add it to your hand. Or if she sees your fiend monster get sent to your graveyard by card effect, you can special summon her from hand or grave and she'll be brittle, banished when leaving the field. Being level 8 means it really helps for making the rank 8s. Both her effects are hard once per turn, so again, we'd only play 1. Yeah, maybe it's not the best, but I mean, it's a common from Dune, so easy to get. Speaking of level 8s, we got 1 Gizmek Orochi, the Serpentron Sky Slasher. Again, just super easy level 8 unit. There's probably nothing specific in your deck that you're going to miss if you just banish it. It's a chump blocker during the opponent's turn. It's potential removal because you're realistically not going to be able to wield your entire extra deck anyway. It's live if you discard it. So, yeah, I just thought it was a great fit for this deck. Last piece of the main deck. It's Barrier Statue of the Abyss. This thing is a level 4 fiend, so you can't summon it with Rainbow's opponent discard effect. It's not a Dark World monster, but you could summon this from your deck with Lucent. You can also special summon it from your graveyard with Muckraker from the Underworld at the very end of your combo. Maybe it's not so relevant because a lot of decks do special summon dark monsters, but I guess like Fire is popular lately with Tenpai. Light is popular lately with Fiendsmith Engraver. I guess Yubel will play right through it, but you can side it out for that matchup. It'd just be a funny thing to have in game 1. So yeah, that is my main deck right now. 41 cards. I took my talents out, I guess, so I could support 3 in my main deck. I should probably get 1 talents, 1 thrust in there, maybe cut some of the cheeky stuff. Actually, what would I thrust for? I don't know. Or you could thrust for card destruction if you have Ken and Gen, for example. Anyway, onto the extra deck, one at a time. Right at the front here, I got Akashic Magician. This is part of the challenge of playing Danger Dark World, is how you build your board. Like, what zone you put your guys in early on can matter a lot, and it can matter a lot at the end as you start thinking about where am I going to place Nightmare Griffin. So generally you want to summon Genta and your dangers to zones 2 and 4, like the ones under the extra monster zone, so you can return them with Akashic Magician. And you want to summon Ken or Gen to the opponent's middle zone as like something to take with Geonator Transverser. You could put Ceruli there as well, but I actually think it's good to put Ceruli in zone 2 or 4 as well, to put it in your hand with Akashic Magician and try to use it again. Also remember a secret effect, where you can just like call card destruction and try to rip it off the top. You get to mill cards, so you might mill like more Graphas, Rainbows, Gizmek Orochi. It could just be more gas. So yeah, I was talking about this earlier. Geonator Transverser. This is what allows you to do some dirty stuff. Where you're giving your opponent monsters in this deck, so try to put them in the middle, and you put the thing... always summon your level 3s in the left-hand zone for the main thing you'll be giving them. I'm always playing around this. Like, I always put my most powerful monster in my right-hand zone. It's the only zone that Geonator Transverser can't reach. It reaches, like, you know, your left-hand zone and the middle zone. And Relinquished Anima can't reach the right-hand side either. I guess Longirsu, the Orcus Link 3 can, but who is playing that? I got a Cross Sheep. I basically never use this. It could be a way... when you summon Fusion Grapha, you can summon Barrier Statue of the Abyss from your graveyard with this thing. That's its main purpose. We don't have any Synchro monsters to get an attack boost for our side. There's plenty of Ixies monsters, though, for shrinking the opponent's side. Last Link 2 is a Muckraker from the Underworld. This can't be used as Link material the turn you summon it. So be careful about, like, putting it in the EMZ. You know, don't plan on Link climbing with it. You can summon it early if you just want to get guys off the field, but try to wait as long as possible to use her effect, because you get Fiend locked once it resolves. It is also a good endboard piece, too, because it'll let you protect your guys from destruction by tributing other Fiend monsters. So it'll just make your stuff harder to take apart. Speaking of getting Fiend locked, we got Nightmare Unicorn. This is a Fiend. It removes cards. Little more to say. Also makes it easy to link climb into one of our supposed boss monsters, Nightmare Griffin. You don't have to be shy about milling your spells and traps or discarding them, because you can just get them back at the very end of your combo with this thing's effect. And it's kind of an accessible skill drain. It's also a Fiend, so you can make Muckraker, and then you know, you could bring back Nightmare Unicorn for, you know, 3 link rating to help make this with. Last Link monster is good old Saryuja. It's pretty easy to summon 4 monsters with different names and get a big reload for your hand. You could summon Barrier Statue of the Abyss from your hand at the end of your combo as well. You could just summon a level 4 or a level 8 to make it easier to make an Ixies monster. Yeah, Saryuja's good. Does everything. Onto the Ixies monsters, the good old Acid Golem of Destruction. So Gen and Ken are level 3. Danger Tsuchinoko and Danger Jackalope are the only remaining level 3s. So you can discard Chupacabra on purpose to try to revive one of the level 3s, for instance. You could use Akashic Magician to return Ken to your hand, and then use Saryuja to summon Ken from your hand. And then, yeah, this is why you put your level 3 in the left-hand zone. It's going to be your eventual overlay unit for Acid Golem. We got Dugari's the Timeless. You're usually using the first effect to skip your next draw. Draw 2, then discard 1 card. That's a card effect, so that'll set off your Dark World monsters. You could also double the attack of Numeron Dragon to one-shot somebody. I used to play Pentastag in here to make that more reliable. That's something you could do. I finally got a common Coach King Giant Trainer from SR14. I guess that's the Fire King structure deck. They were easy to come by at long last once that came out. With Gizmek Orochi and Diabolica and level 8 Dangers, this is a little more realistic to make. It's also good because you can, like, detach Grapha and Rainbow on the same turn and then use them again. Very nice to have on turn 1. Got number 38, not just as a potential endboard piece, but it is part of our Draglubion package. This is it for the Ixies monsters. I was thinking you could put one more number dragon in here so that you could, like, make number 38 on turn 1 and then still have food for this on turn 3. But, I don't know, it just didn't come up enough. You don't always get to make number 38. Yeah, I guess that's all I have to say about that. Last part of the extra deck. 2 Graphas. You can summon 1 during your turn and 1 during the opponent's turn, or maybe the game will turn into a bit of a slog, and you will wish that you had 2. Having 2 is pretty good. Yeah, this guy's super strong. Tier Limits players have been playing this because they use King of the Swamp as their fusion substitute ingredient for the guy with a name. This one floats into Grapha from Grave or Banishment, and then each player with a hand discards 1 card. That's also a powerful effect. Also note that with the effect substitution, You know, it changes your opponent's card to your opponent discards 1 card. So it becomes discarding by opponent's card effect. That's really powerful stuff. You can end your turn with Silva in your hand to rip 2 out of your opponent's hand during their turn, or Lucent so you can summon Barrier Statue of the Abyss during their turn. Alright, that's it for the extra deck. Now on to the side. The usual going second stuff. Harpie's Feather Duster. 3 Lava Golem. Like I said, this deck doesn't have a normal summon. We got 2 more Bigfoots as well to help break boards. I mean, Bigfoot is obviously amazing if you're going second. So this actually sides out really conveniently for the 5-card 3 Gen, 1 Ken, 1 Rhoda, right? You take out your normal summon and put in the thing that denies your normal summon. I don't have, what is it called, Dark Spirit of Banishment, where like if it's sent to the graveyard, you can add a level 8 Fiend from grave to hand, so that would be your Lava Golem. You could get multiple uses out of it. You could play the Tour Guide of the Underworld for Doomdog Oakthros line, for Cherubini to send Goki Pole to search Mothman. you could do that stuff. Dark World's so flexible in how you build it. I randomly have 2 Jinzos. I did have 3. I took 1 out to make room recently. Like I said, deck doesn't have a normal summon, so you could just tribute summon Jinzo and make a trap deck very sad. And then last we have going firster stuff. We got 1 Full Force Virus, 2 Deck Devi, and 3 Eradicator. It's really easy to summon a dark monster with big stats in this deck, so you can just destroy whatever your opponent is playing with 1 of these. And it's not even a big deal if you discard it or mill it, because you can just install it with Nightmare Griffin. And yeah, summon Muckraker to summon something to tribute for it. Perfect. And lastly, 1 Skill Drain. You can just play Dark World like a beatdown deck. Most of your guys activate in the hand. They don't do anything on the field, so you could just play like a Danger Tackle pile. Skill Drain is going to hurt your opponent more than you. Hate to say it, but that's how it is. And one more thing I want to show off. If you have played against me before and you are salty, I have these 4 Gemini Imps in my deck box. This card says, during either player's turn when your opponent activates a spell card, trap card, or monster effect that could make you discard when it resolves, you can send this card from your hand to the graveyard for a cost. Negate the activation, and if you do, destroy it. Then draw 1 card. Maybe Droll and Lockbird should be the gift that I hand out. Wait, no, never mind. Cut the video. Forget I said that.